Welcome back. I think this is our 12th conversation, David. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it is indeed.
All right. Well, ready to start things off again. We put a few minutes of prep into this just to get a general idea of what the first conversation or first question is, and then
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes for 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes we followed the process of take a few minutes to say what's our
Oh,
current definition of conversational leadership. We
oh.
didn't talk about this, but I'm guessing we'll kind of skip it this time. Maybe at some point we'll come back.
I've got some interesting stuff to tell you about
All
that.
right, so then maybe we do.
With a professor of education at Cambridge, Professor Rupert, I think it's Redgerif, I think is the name.
Okay.
Doing some really interesting things with dialogue in
Nice.
education. But
Well, that might fit
we'll
right
come
in
back to
then.
him another time.
All right, or it might fit right in with our question for today.
It
And
might do,
then,
yes.
so what is your definition of conversational leadership? Then the question we'll talk about today, which we haven't said yet. And then sometimes at the end, for the last minute or two, we talk about, what did we learn or did we actually advance conversational leadership in any way? So we'll see. Maybe we'll
Uh-huh.
go back to that structure a little bit. But for today, I think the question or the title is, can you actually have a conversation with artificial intelligence?
AI.
What's your what's your thinking? What's your feeling? Where are you with that question?
No.
All right. End of
I think
conversation.
I come with a conversation. I use the voice mode on ChatGPT pretty much every day. And I would if I was talking to you or talking to somebody else, I'd call it a conversation. But if I stop and think about it, it's um it's what I'd call maybe a transactional conversation. If you ask somebody a question and they give you an answer, what's the weather like today? No, how do you do this? How do you do that? And you get a straightforward answer. Um, it's not really a conversation. It's a transaction. And I often think about conversation on a spectrum. So on that left-hand side of the spectrum, you've got you've got transactional interaction, shall we say? And on the right-hand side, you have the sorts of conversations that we have, which are relatively unplanned. There's sometimes a theme, not always. There's a lot of fun, there's a lot of laughter. We go off, we banter a little, we go off go off track. Um, it's human, it's fun, and actually hard to have a fun conversation with an AI. Um, I've got some more thoughts on it, but that's my initial take on it. And I can give some examples in a moment, but what are your thoughts?
I feel like I should say yes just to make this fun, but
Oh, okay.
but no, my truth is I guess mine is
Look,
no
John, you reckon you can have a conversation with a
with a
wall, with
painting.
a rock,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
a
it's true.
picture.
It's
So,
true.
damn it, you can
So
have one with AI.
so okay, so then maybe I can because you're right, because I can debate from the other side and say yes, but here's the two caveats. My real answer is actually agree with you. No, not yet. Um, but uh yes, depending what you mean by conversation. And I think
Yes,
that you and I
exactly.
often come back to that. If you're, I still love Dr. Ed Shine's four levels of conversation. And of course, there's not only four levels and there's many other ways to look at it. But to your point, transactional, that is he's actually, what is it? Like, I don't have it memorized anymore, but like level -1
Oh,
is
yes,
like
yeah.
it's like he purposefully calls it -1. That's like a demanding conversation where I just tell you what to do and you go do it. We don't even really interact. But
Uh-huh.
he technically calls that a conversation. We could debate that. Then he doesn't have a level 0, but his level 1 is transactional. So I offer you a task or
Okay.
comment and you reply to that comment, but you probably don't feel safe or don't feel comfortable or there's something else going on where you don't offer much more. But do you see where I'm going? It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
do we agree that there's levels of quality of conversation? Because if
that's
we
it. That
do,
it's
then
levels of
sure,
quality.
sure, then you can have a conversation with AI. The level of quality would be a different debate because
Yeah.
I think we agree. I don't think you can go above like a level 1 because level 2 is like identity level conversation, and level two, and then level three is shared identity. And that's where you really get into like the ever changing who are you and the depth and the emotion and the
The
experience
emotions, yeah.
that you've had. And I don't
Oh,
I don't know,
I'd still
maybe.
say at that bottom end, I would not class it as a conversation, personally.
That
But
probably takes back because have
that's
you
just
ever gotten
linguistics.
clear what are your like criteria or minimum requirements for what you would call a conversation? I bet
That's
you
a
have it
good
written
one.
somewhere, don't you?
There needs to be some laughter.
Okay.
There needs to be some fun. There needs to be a little bit of banter.
Okay.
Kind of weird in a way that I'm saying this because I'm not talking about the content at all. I'm talking about the richness of it. It it needs to go off piste, so to speak. You know, you start talking about something and you end up talking about something completely different.
Yeah.
Um, what else? What might you add to that?
Well, you know me. I'm gonna say the back to depth of conversation. If I come into the conversation feeling content and I feel content the entire time and I leave the conversation feeling content, um,
What makes you content, John?
I would dare say like yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things, okay, let's bring in knowledge cafes. One of the things that's a little bit vulnerable for me that I've learned in knowledge cafes, it took 5 or 10 or 20, so I was a bit of a slow learner. But what I found was, and you helped me with this, we don't like to judge conversations, but like
Yeah.
conversations that were memorable and impactful versus ones that I pretty much forgot the second they were over. That, right? And many, many knowledge cafes, you have all these breakouts and you experience many different 15-minute conversations. What I found as a pattern over many knowledge cafes was I needed introductions. If I don't hear a hello and how to say your name and hear I don't know, something about you, anything, from every person first, if it's the old like, if someone speaks twice before someone speaks first, I'm uncomfortable.
Hmm.
That's already a thing. And then that's one pattern I noticed for me in my most impactful conversations. The second thing I noticed is I need someone to offer something a little bit controversial, a little bit provocative, a little bit
Yeah.
opinionated,
Yeah.
a little bit biased. I need that.
Provocative, yes.
And then I need someone, and by the way, any of these someones can be me, or not. I need someone to disagree with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need someone to say,
I,
well,
I would I would go along with that.
there's a different perspective to share here, right? And then the pattern, I need something about the back and forth, which is what I hear you saying. Sure, some laughter, maybe, I don't know, anger, irritation. I need like, I hate to say, and I wish it was not true, but like learning through discomfort.
Now, remember just before we started, I told you about this professor at Cambridge, professor of education,
Mhm.
Rupert, I think it's Wegereff.
Okay.
And I just only discovered him yesterday and just reading some of his material. And unfortunately, it's very academic. And I think, I struggle with academic papers. But the one thing he says when he's talking about dialogue, he's saying if you've got two people in dialogue and they totally agree, there is no dialogue.
Hmm.
To have a dialogue, there's got to be a difference. There's got to be a disagreement. And I like that. It again ties in with what you're saying. You're not happy when there isn't a disagreement because there's no learning in it. If you both agree, it's kind of intellectually nice to know that you're not the only one who's got some crazy idea, but there's no real learning in it. So it's that learning, those insights.
I just had a little moment as you said that. I've often thought of it very simply as like, oh, John and David are in conversation, so John and David need, to say it strongly, to disagree for it to be a conversation. I just realized something right now. So see, I love these chats. Um, I'm not sure if this is true, but I'm processing it right now. I think sometimes the disagreement or the tension is inside me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, here's what I
Okay,
said,
right.
and now you say something different, and I go, can I cuss on here? I go, oh no, actually, I can see that. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
in my own experience, I'm like, uh-oh.
Now this
There's that
comes back to
tension.
to the Cambridge prof again. I knew this guy was going to have some influence. Now, what does he say? He talks about voices,
Mm,
and that we've got the voices of other people inside us. So I'm sure you can think of all the different people that have influenced your thinking, John,
mhm,
and you've got those different voices, and none of them will be in tune, in line with each other.
mhm,
Um, and so you've got this disagreement inside your head. And so what you don't really want is an answer. Actually, there was a quotation of his. So I can I remember it? Something along the lines of not wanting an answer, but living inside the question. That was it. That was the phrase. Living inside the question, which means that there's never a definitive answer. That you're always questioning something. That's kind of part of life. That we're
mhm.
living inside a whole series of questions. And I really like that idea. But you realize we're getting away from the original question. We're trying to
Can you?
define
Oh,
conversation here.
it's close.
Um, but I think as we are, we've only got to stop for a moment to realize that AI doesn't come anywhere near any of this.
Maybe not yet.
Maybe not
I
yet.
was thinking about this on my walk this morning. You just talked about something that sparked it again. Intrinsic motivation. Oh, it was
Okay,
the learning angle you just brought in.
right.
Um, there was research I loved. I've forgotten it. I haven't looked at it in a long time. That's why I was trying to recall it on the walk. Um, they found, and I'm sure there's many other researchers out there on it, but like six intrinsic motivators.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember if learning was one of them. I honestly can't remember. It was like
Oh,
individualism or individualistic, which was sort of like telling others what to do. That's like an intrinsic motivator for a lot of people. And the whole point was like we all have all six of them, but we all have a different degree of the six.
okay.
One of them was results oriented. I can't remember the name. They had a fancy name for it. Oh,
Right.
utilitarian. That's what they called it.
Okay.
And
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
about results. And for most people, it was financial results. But for others, like for like artists and painters, it was like, did I create the painting or not? So it results. And then I really don't think harmony was one, which meant like,
Hmm.
harmony. Oh, aesthetic, things looking beautiful. That was an intrinsic motivator. So there's four. Oh, I think I may have got it. Social and traditional. Those were two different ones.
Okay.
Traditional was like you're intrinsically motivated to keep things the same. That was the one I personally struggled with because that, to your point of learning, that means there's all of us actually, but some percentage of us are actually literally driven to not learn, to not change.
Yeah.
That's like that's it's
Um,
an actually a motivator. So that would go against what you were just at least for those people. And then social was an interesting one. I struggled. That's why I'm forgetting these last two. That was an interesting one too because it said you're intrinsically motivated to simply be with other people. Didn't matter what you did or what you said or how you felt. You just literally were motivated. I guess it's the
yeah.
kind of people that would go to parties all the time. You just or go to groups and just go to stuff because you're
Yeah.
literally motivated to just be with other people. And I've never thought about that, but I bet those motivators tied to what you just said about learning and conversation, there's probably a whole thing we could look at.
Yeah. Coming back to AI,
Mhm.
what is it about AI that makes it not conversational? Um, Something that interested me, we went to ChatGPT 5 the other day,
Yep.
and actually I don't particularly like it. I've
Nah.
switched the old 4.0 back on. Um, but one of the things I noticed it doing, which kind of blew me away, although it doesn't really make it conversational, because normally with it, you've got to take the lead. It rarely takes the lead in the conversation. You've got to ask it a question, and it will give you a response. But what it did, I'd written something and I'd asked it to edit it for me, refine it for me, and it did that. And it said, at the end, it said, "Oh, sort of like, I can't remember the exact wording, like, oh, by the way, this relates to several other things that I've written or you've written that I know about, because again, it's got quite a good memory now. Would you like me to write some linking text to these other articles?
Nice.
And if you notice, it does that now. With most things that you ask it, it follows up with a couple of suggestions of other
Mm.
things that you might like it to do,
Yeah.
um, which is a good step in the right direction. But it never says, and I don't think I've ever known it to say something. You ask it a question, and it says, "Well, have you considered this or have you considered that?" Um, it never really takes the initiative, or if it does take the initiative, it's sort of rather like I just described there. It's a rather canned sort of initiative that they seem. I almost feel as if they've coded into it.
For sure. It's got the yeah. Do you want to follow up or how could we not include AI in this conversation, right? So of course I asked it, and my first question was very simple. Can I have a conversation with you? That was it. And
Right.
it was so funny. As a human, as I wrote that, if someone asked me that, I would start to get nervous right away. Like, uh-oh, what do we have to talk about?
Oh yes, yeah.
So it went the opposite direction.
Whenever my wife says that to me,
Yeah.
darling, we need to talk. I shudder.
Oh no. Sure, maybe. So it said, and it actually put an emoji, which seems new to me. It said, "Of course, you can always have a conversation with me with a smiley emoji." And then, like to your point, it said, "Do you want to talk about something specific, work, school, or personal, or would you like to just have an open chat?" And so, as you do, right, I refined it and said, well, what I mean is, are there similarities and differences between a conversation with AI and a conversation with humans? And
Mm,
then it went off and did
it
its
went
thing. It
on,
found
yeah.
four similarities and five differences. And it's pretty much everything we've already said, I would say. So,
Actually, I've never tried just firing it up and saying, given what you know about me, um, how would I phrase it? Given what you know about me, or not even saying that, not even preempting it, just saying, hey, so what's going on? What's up with you today?
all
And
right.
I haven't tried it. I wonder what it would say. I would hope that it would, what would be really nice is if it said to me, well, David, the other day we were talking about education and AI, and I've been reading this really interesting paper that I think will interest you. Now, if it came back like that, I'd go, wow, now
There's something.
this is good.
All
Um,
right. So I tried. I said, cool. What's up with you today?
what did it
And
say?
it said, thanks for asking, smiley face. And then explained itself away. And this is, I think this is important to note. It says, unlike a human, I don't really have days or moods, but I do adapt to the flow of our conversation. So in a way, that's always what's up with me. And then it did. Oh, it is actually interesting. It says, if we play along in a human-like sense, my day has been full of answering deep organizational development and knowledge management questions, talking about karaoke, brainstorming creative session titles, and hanging out with you, exploring the nature of conversations. So it's just taking all the stuff I've asked it and
Yeah,
it's
I'm
putting it back.
parroting it back because at the end of the day, that's what it's doing. It doesn't, regardless of what so many people say, it is just parroting. It's damn good at it, but it's uh, it's not real at all. But it is getting better, and it is useful.
Mm.
I think that was my early sort of light bulb moment. Was, I'm not too sure about all of this. Is it truly intelligent? Is it not? All those questions. And then I said, well, I'm in no position to answer that. Is it useful? Is it helping me think? Is it helping me write? The answer was yes, absolutely. Okay, don't worry too much about whether it's intelligent or not. If it's helping me, it's a bit like using an electronic calculator. I don't need to know how it's working internally if it gives me the right answers. No, I guess when it comes to conversation, there are no right answers. Um, but if it can throw up stuff and material that I've never thought about, actually, the one thing it does seem to be really good at is making connections with ideas that I wouldn't have thought of myself. That's what I do really like.
I guess I'm so many things are popping up as you say all that. Strangely, pheromones are popping up for me and mirror neurons. So
Yeah,
that like relation, like, I'm relating to someone else. Um,
it's not up to that yet.
it's not doing
Yeah.
that, right? Yeah, maybe yet. And then I had another one that I like something about the relationship. But like you and I have talked about this before, like, sometimes you can sit on a train and have a great conversation with someone and why and what happened
I
and all that.
always remember that conversation you had with that woman on the train
On the
years
train,
ago,
yeah,
coming
about
back
like
from London.
tattoos and
That
stuff. Yeah.
was a phenomenal conversation. A complete stranger.
And why? Like what set that up versus like the hundreds of other times riding a train and it wasn't the right time or the something didn't happen with the
I think what set that up is that you're very open. You're very open. You're very friendly. You're not threatening in any way. And she was a similar sort of character. And so you just sparked off each other. I can't remember the conversation. I can just remember the energy of the conversation, of the laughter and the fun of it. Um, that was that was a real conversation, even
so
if
then
I
it brings
can't
up
remember the contents.
yeah, exactly. The content's a whole different thing. So that brings up something I think we have talked about in C group, conversation group before, which is like, um, where is your content coming from? And so AI is coming from trillions of other documents and then, code to
Yeah.
put language together. For a human, you're coming from a peaceful place, you're coming from a loving place, you're coming from a challenging place, you're coming from a bad day, you're coming from a, a
These
funny
are
conversation. Like, you're
emotions, aren't they? Emotions
yeah.
and values, and which the AI doesn't have.
And you can't quite like, predict. And I hate to say, but like power and
A good
influence.
conversation is not predictable.
And sure. And I think there's something about like who got to drive the conversation. What was the dance like?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think some people, enjoy or don't enjoy leading or following or being in the dance at all.
No, we've said this before.
Mhm.
Some people that don't get it. They've never done it. They don't
Mhm.
uh, they don't particularly enjoy it. They're looking for certainty.
Yeah. The last thing I might
Talking
mention,
about that, we should draw to a close in a minute.
pretty close, yeah. So the last little thing I want to mention is, I've mentioned you to her before, but Dr. Tara Brach every Wednesday
Mm,
night does
yeah.
this hour and a half talk. And she just last night said she's moving it to noon Eastern. It's normally 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which would be like middle of the night for you. But she's intentionally, for the first time ever, moving it to noon Eastern so that it would be more like 5 p.m. for
Okay.
you, 6 p.m. So it's actually much more.
That would have worked for me. I'd
But
like
anyway,
to do the
her
same thing.
her her talk last night was called From Head to Heart.
Okay.
And the one thing I would bring in here that I think is related is at one point she said, you know, especially in I'll call it North America, but I guess the States. Um, it's all about productivity. It's all about
Yeah.
individualism. It's all about getting the next thing done. And she had just read this book. I'm going to paraphrase it and do it wrong, but what I recall is she had just read this book or heard someone talk that said, it's the simplest thing to be more productive. All you have to do is in your 30-second walk to the bathroom, you need to write a blog. And in your 1 minute walk to your car, you need to record a video and put it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah.
See where this is going? Like
Mm.
you need to have no downtime, and that will take your productivity to unrealized heights. And you can imagine where she took that if the title of her talk was From Head to Heart. Her whole point was, wow, I see that perspective. I might offer that drive quite predictably results in anxiety, stress, overwhelm, disease. And she went on to scientifically point at research that she talked about like the cap on DNA. I can't remember the name of it, but like the cap on the DNA, if you overwork yourself, it shrinks, and that's a sign of aging. So you're
Oh, okay.
literally aging So I'm trying to tie this to AI and conversation and saying, uh, I think there's an emotional, relational side that
Yeah.
I'm not sure software is really coming from that place.
No, it's not. It's interesting though what you just say. Usually on a Sunday morning, I do the housework. You just, basic stuff, vacuuming and what have you. And I've got my iPhone in my pocket. And so I'm doing a lot of thinking. As I say, as I get a little bit tired these days, so I take a lot of little rests, and I sit down and get at my iPhone. And I've had an idea while I've been vacuuming, and I'll dictate the idea, or I'll start up a conversation with ChatGPT and have a little conversation with it. It's all recorded, stored away. And then when I come back later, to sit at my desk, I've got a whole load of new material, new ideas and stuff. So, though I don't feel I'm stressing myself out doing that,
Mm,
I, I it makes the housework actually pleasurable.
okay then. So it's working.
Yeah, indeed. So we better stop there. What did you want to do? You want to say, have we advanced conversational leadership?
I had a couple of new ideas click in there for me, so I
Okay,
appreciate that. How
go
about for
on,
you?
share those. Um, Nothing comes immediately to mind. Let me just reflect on it.
Have
What's
we advanced conversational leadership in the last 20 minutes? And if so, how? And if not, why not?
No, you just said that you had a couple of things that clicked for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Ask me
yeah.
what were they?
Do I remember them? Uh, I know that I enjoy our conversations and love the back and forth and the dance that we
Mm,
do. So that it's not new for me, but just worth voicing. Um, I had that moment. Oh yeah, yeah. The tension inside myself is the beginning of the conversation, which goes back to your, I know you like to tease me and it's fine, that I can have a conversation with a painting because I'm seeing the tension inside myself and working it. If I have another human to work it with, great. If I have AI to work it with, great. So that's why I say, yes, you can have a conversation, but very low quality conversation.
yeah, I don't think I had any great insights, although it was interesting that a couple of these things I've been reading about from Professor, forgetting his name,
Mm,
the guy at Cambridge, um, related to what we were saying. I'm going to look at that and I'll share some of the material with you.
mm.
And one of the things I want to share with you, I found it on the web a little while back and downloaded it, and I wanted to clip it because I don't think you've ever seen the film Shirley Valentine.
I don't think so.
It's a classic British film from, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, where the housewife is bored out of her mind, and she starts off with having a conversation with the wall,
See?
and she ends up running away to some Greek island, and at some point she's sitting on the beach having a conversation with a rock. So you're not the only one, John.
See?
But I'll find that for you. I've got it on my hard drive somewhere. Maybe I'll just share the whole film with you. I
Okay.
think you could watch it with Barissa.
Okay.
I think you'd really enjoy it.
That's good.
Okay, let's stop there, shall we?
All right.
If I can stop it, I don't know. Click. It's asking me about billable hours.
Okay.
I click the wrong button. Right, live stream.